Hi, it's me again. Thought I'd start this time with a story. This took place 1980. I was going into Washington, D.C. to take a job as a congressional aide. I've been working in a local office, and I'm purposely not naming the congressman at this point. And I got into the office, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, on a Friday. Knew where the job was, didn't have a clue about anything else. Had everything I owned in the trunk of my car. And I said, where's a good place to live? And they directed me to a place called Hartnett Hall, where they said a lot of other congressional aides had stayed when they first arrived in D.C. I said, all right. So I show up there Friday afternoon, and I walk in the office. It's a real nice brownstone, and I go in there and I pay the guys it's a really cheap rate. It's like $120 a week or something, which is ridiculous. But I hand him the money. Well, we come outside, and the room's not in the brownstone. It's around the corner, and it's in another building, not nearly as nice, and through a locked door, and through another locked door, and through another locked door, and up three flights of stairs, and another locked door, and down a hall. And there's a communal bathroom to one side, and then we go into my room, and it's about the size of a closet. A bed on cinder blocks, a metal chest of drawers, a sink, and a window. No air conditioning, no nothing. And it's July, and it's 105 degrees outside. So I said thank you. Oh, and the room's dark Kelly green, which is even worse. I figured I'd make the best of it, and I go down to my car and get my suitcase and bring it up and put it down. I set a little tape recorder up on top of the chest of drawers and turn it on, and not real loud. And I'm playing some music while I unpack into the chest of drawers. God, it's hot. And halfway down, all of a sudden, knock on the door. I open the door up, and there's a very nice, dapper English gentleman standing there, probably about 55, 60 years old. Trim cut hair, totally naked. And he says, could you turn your stereo down? And I said, sure. I closed the door, and I did. And I thought that was odd, but hey, I'm from South Carolina. I've never been to a big city, for long, and things could happen. I don't know. So I finish unpacking, and it is just brutally hot. And I open the window, and the building next door is like 3 feet away. There's no chance of a breeze. So I decide, I think I need to go buy a fan and maybe a beer. So I open the door, and he's directly across the hall. Now at this point he's sprawled, spread-eagled on his bed with the door open, and still not a stitch of clothes. And I'm just thinking, that is very strange. So I walk down the hall, down the stairs again. No elevators in this building whatsoever. Out the 3 locked doors. Get out on the sidewalk, and there's a bar in the same building, and it's called Friends. So I go in the bar to get the beer. And the bar is furnished entirely with picnic tables. And there's 4 rows of picnic tables. And that's it. And there's a whole bunch of guys at these picnic tables, and they're all holding hands and swinging back and forth singing. And I realize this is not like the kind of bar I normally go to. And I walk back out on the street, and I look around, and there are no women anywhere. Well, there are some people that look like them, but they aren't women. And I realize that I'm in a male boarding house in the middle of the gay area of Washington, D.C. Okay. So, I can handle that. Just keep to myself. I'll be okay. Get in my car. I don't have a clue where I am in town. But I figure if I just go straight, eventually I'll get to somewhere where I can buy a fan and at least get cooler. So I drive and drive, finally get to a road that looks something like it might have a store on it, and it's busy, and I turn right a little ways further, and I find a drugstore, and I go past it, and there's a parking area, and I park, and they charge me $15 to stick my car there, and I think that's quite steep, but I pay it, being naive. And I'm walking towards the drugstore, and right before I get to it, they lock the door. And there's a girl walking towards it at the same time, and I'm like, oh man. And she says, what were you trying to get? I said, I was just looking for a fan. Well, she said, a fan? There's another drugstore right down the way. I'll take you down there. I'll walk with you. I said, fine. It didn't hurt. She was cute. So we start walking down the street, and I'm chatting. Everything's going good. And about halfway down to where it is, she stops, and she says, well, I got to go to work right here. And just, go down about another block, and you'll see it on the right, and you can get what you want. I said, okay. And she said, bye. And she walks in the building. The door closes, and I look, and the building says, girls, 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 girls. And I'm thinking, I bet they have beer in there. So, I got money. I walk in. And it was not what I expected. I find myself in a room, little room, not real big, and it's empty. And the only thing in there is a small rack of dirty magazines, about 5 of them, and like a podium, and this girl standing behind the podium, and the rest of the room is completely bare, and the girl standing behind the podium is not the one that I was talking to. And I'm standing there confused, and she looks at me and she says, would you like to see a movie? I said, what? And she says, would you like to see a movie? And I said, what do you mean? And she says, I'll show you. So she leads me through this small door in the back of the room. And we go down this corridor. And along the sides of the corridor are these little cubicles. And in each cubicle is a bunk bed. And there is a television up against the wall. And the television is showing a porno. And there is a small, plastic chair by the wall. And she says, for $20, you can sit in here for 30 minutes with the naked woman of your choice and watch a movie. And I said, well, I kind of wanted a beer. So I left, went down, got my fan, went home, put it in the window, found out that the only place in the entire district where I was that I could eat and not have a problem was a strip joint across the street, if I could stomach it, because they didn't seem to pick people that were pretty. And a week later I moved out. Anyway, that was my very first experience in Washington, D.C. And a lot more happened while I was there, because I was in the thick of some of the most publicized scandals that happened during that period. I'll tell you more about those later.